Hi everybody, this is Mr. Nolan, and what I'd like to do with you in this video is talk to you about geological cross-sections and show you how they work. So, formally stated, we would say that the goal of this video is to be able to determine the relative order in which different features appeared by analyzing a geological cross-section. And so what that means is that we're not really interested in how many years old a certain feature is. What we're interested in relative dating is simply what order did everything happen. And so this, what you see on your screen, is a relatively sophisticated example of a geological cross-section. But what I'm going to do with you in this video is show you a really nifty little simulator that will help you to understand how these geological cross-sections work. So what I want to do with you is show you what you need to be successful in using the simulator, and we'll go through a few basic principles of geological cross-sections. So the document you're going to want in order to be successful is this one. It's called a web lab, so simulating relative age in a geologic cross-section. And so on the first page of this document, you see a glossary. And some of the things I'm going to talk to you about in this video are included in this glossary. But while you're doing this work, if you're not sure what an unconformity is, or how deposition works, or what an intrusion or an extrusion or whatever is, this first page is going to be valuable to you. So if we jump ahead a little bit, I'm going to show you how the simulator works. And then we'll actually go through some of these examples, and we'll find out how to use the simulator to find out how geologic cross-sections work. And really with the aim of being able to solve some that look like this. So toward the end of this document are some examples of geologic cross-sections, and these are, some of them get kind of sophisticated, and so I want to be able to show you how to solve these. This is really what our goal means today. Figure out the relative order by analyzing a geologic cross-section. These are really what we're talking about. We want to be able to look at these and solve what order did everything happen in. So let me kind of jump to the simulator and I'll show you how this works. It's this website. It starts with app.visiblegeology.com/profile.html. So I'll jump over here. When you type that in, you're going to come to this simulator. And this works on all devices. It should work on PCs and Macs and your cell phone and everything. When you open up the simulator, you see this little cube, and you can click and drag this cube around. Now, before you do anything, this cube is not very useful to us. This is just a cube. So we need to add some layers, some geologic beds. So if we click on this button right here, we can add some beds, we can add some layers. So if I go ahead and I click on the new button a few times, you can see we can add 6 or even more geologic beds. And they come with certain names. These are actually the names of specific kinds of rocks that we can get. But we don't really need to worry about the names or even the color for that matter. We don't really need to worry about that. We really just need to worry about what the color, what colors do we see here. So kind of by way of analogy, I want you to think about something. If you were trying to figure out what a sandwich was made of, would it be helpful to look at it from the top? Probably not. That would be hard to tell what the sandwich was made of if you're actually looking at it from the top. So what we really have to do is look at the sandwich from the side. And so a geologic cross-section is really just looking at, it's kind of like looking at a sandwich from the side. We're looking at all the layers to figure out what they are and how was it made. So by looking at it from the top, that's not very useful. But by looking at a geologic cross-section from the side, this is very useful. So I don't know if you noticed, let me kind of refresh this. Anytime you need to refresh this simulator, just click the refresh. It will take a second to load. But I don't know if you noticed, but I want you to pay attention to the order that the layers appear. This is one of the first concepts we want to make sure that we get straight. So as I add the beds, watch the cross-section really carefully and see what order they show up. Do you notice what order the beds show up? They show up from the bottom and they work their way up. And that's because if we assume that this is sedimentary rock, it should make sense because the first layers that appear here, they're going to have stuff piling on top of them over time. So the layers that are down here are going to be kind of old, and the layers that are up top are going to be younger. And that's exactly what we mean when we say relative order or relative age. We're just talking about what order did everything show up. So if you were to try to number these in order of appearance, we'd say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and so on. So the deeper you go, the older the rocks are. So that's kind of a basic concept in if we're looking at geologic cross sections. But let's go ahead and do some things to these rocks. So one thing that we want to be able to explain what it is called an unconformity, and also some tilting. So let's go ahead and look at tilting and unconformities. So to tilt on the simulator, you need some layers, and we're going to click on one of these buttons. And when you do that, you're going to notice this big red plane shows up. This is called the action plane. And the action plane is the angle that anything is going to happen in the simulator. Now you can move the action plane around by grabbing one of these colored knobs. You can kind of twist it around. You can change the tilt, the angle that it happens at. And so let's go ahead and add a tilt here, and watch what happens when I go ahead and add this tilt. So you'll notice that the layers have now been tilted in the same angle as the geologic, or as the angle of the action plane. So now if I click X, we've gone ahead and tilted our rocks. Now it's still the case that the youngest rocks are on the top and the oldest rocks are on the bottom. So even though it tilted, we can still tell who's older and who's younger. Let's go ahead and add a feature called an unconformity. So we're going to scroll down here and click on unconformity, and you can just go ahead and click Add New. Now when we do this, I want you to look at what has happened here. So we've actually lost a chunk of the top of our geologic cross-section. And if we go ahead and read the very front page here and find unconformity, we're going to find an explanation that I'm going to give to you right now. So the process that actually removes older rock, that actually removes it, that gets rid of it, is called erosion. So if I've got some rock and erosion happens, it's going to shave away those rocks. Anytime you lose rock, that's called erosion. That makes it go away. So this bright blue line here appears there because these original layers of rock were eroded away, and that's what's called an unconformity. So we've lost some rock here. But now notice we've got new layers that showed up on top. Now those are very young, aren't they? Because those are on top, so those must be younger. And the process by which new layers appear is called deposition, right? New layers are deposited down on top of older layers. So this structure right here is called an unconformity. Anytime that you have a funny loss of rock and then new rocks on top, that's called an unconformity. So let's kind of keep plugging ahead here. Let's look at some other processes. We looked at tilting and unconformities. Let's go ahead and look at intrusions. So we're going to go ahead and look at certain kinds of intrusions here. So I'm going to refresh, get some new geologic beds, add some new ones, about 6. Okay, and let's add intrusions. So I'm going to continue looking at this from the side, and our instructions tell us to add what's called a dike followed by an unconformity. So a dike is a term for an intrusion, and intrusions are always formed by lava. So let's go ahead and add a dike, and just like the tilting, we can go ahead and we can move the action plane, we can tilt things, we can change the angle here, and we can go ahead and add this dike. Now I want you to think about what this actually is. This is where lava oozed up through the rocks, and notice that this intrusion, it intruded into the rocks. It's disturbing the layers. It cut through them. And so this is how we can tell that this dike is younger than the rocks are next to it. And one thing to note here, if we zoom in really close, on the edges of this dike, where it touched the rock, where it actually kind of cut through it, we're going to get what's called a bake zone, here and here. You might hear it called a baked zone. You might hear it called a contact metamorphism. You might hear it called a melting zone. There's lots of things you might hear that called, but any place where the intrusion melts or bakes older rock, that's very important. That bake zone is important because it indicates that those rocks were already there. If the rocks were already there, we call those rocks country rocks, right? Not like the genre of music, but it's just the rocks that belong to that region. So we call them country rocks. So the country rocks will always get melted or baked by the dike as it's pushing through. So now let's go ahead and do an unconformity and see what happens here. So if I add an unconformity, look at that. So the erosion has caused the unconformity, and now we get deposition, so we get new layers on top. Now we know that this unconformity is younger, or these layers are younger, because they're sitting on top of the dike. This top part of the dike has been eroded away. So this over here on the sides, we're going to get baked zones on the side, but there's no baked zone right here. and that's because these rocks are younger. These rocks showed up after the dike had already pushed through. So in that manner, we can kind of tell when different things happened. Let's go ahead and add another dike. Now, I'm going to go ahead and move my action plane a little bit, just so that it's not overlapping right on top of the dike, the old one. So let's go ahead and add that. So when we get this new dike, if we're looking really closely here, this is pretty interesting. We can tell which dike is older and which is younger. So this one, this reddish one, cut all the way through the unconformity and the new layers. And so what that means is that this dike is brand new. This one is the youngest one. This dike is older because this dike has actually been disturbed by that unconformity. If we wanted to, we could even add a new one, right? We could actually add a brand new dike and actually cut that across the old ones. If we went ahead and added that, this is really interesting because this dike is even younger, this blackish one, right? It cut across that one. So by looking at which dikes have cut across other ones, whichever one kind of appears on top is the youngest one, right? If we're looking at it from our cross section. So we can really go to town and really kind of do all kinds of crazy things with these intrusions. Let's look at intrusions and faults. This gets really interesting. So again, we're going to add our geologic beds, about 6 of them. Let's go ahead and add a few different features here. Let's go ahead and add an intrusion first. Let's put a dike in and then follow that with a fault. So we're going to add a dike. There we go. And now we're going to add a fault. And in order for this to work, the fault needs to cut through the dike. So I'm going to change the dip here a little bit. You can see that fault's going to cut through that dike. So let's add a new fault. And when we do that, look what happened. So this fault actually cut the dike. So it shifted all the layers around. And we can tell just by looking at this that the dike is old and the fault is younger, right? Relative aging. That's what that means. And that's because the dike has been disturbed. The dike was broken. So now let's go ahead and let's do the opposite. Let's refresh some beds. Let's add some new beds. What we're going to do here is we're actually going to do a fault first and follow that with a dike. And we're going to see what happens with our intrusion. So let's do a fault first. Let's add a fault here. We can make it dip a little bit. And now, so we can see the rocks have shifted, let's add a dike on top of that. So when we do this, this is really interesting. Look, the dike is undisturbed. The dike pushed right up through the fault. And so by looking at this, we can tell that the dike is younger, the fault is older. The fault disturbed these rocks, but the dike pushed up through them. So we know the dike is actually younger here. Let's look at one more thing. Refresh here. Let's look at how to tell. I'll skip folds for now. Folds get really interesting, but I think I want to talk about extrusions versus intrusions. So if we add some beds, let's say that we had 3 beds. Right, here's our beds. Now these are some sedimentary beds, which means they were formed in water. Now let's say that we go ahead and add a dike, but instead of any old dike, this one's actually horizontal. We're going to add a horizontal dike. We're going to add it right here. And if you think about what this means, if we think really carefully, this brownish stuff, there's really no rocks here. This doesn't really exist. It's kind of an empty space. This is lava that has poured on top of our rocks. It came from outside. And so we call this an extrusion because it poured on top of the rocks. And what that means is that in this example, this lava flow, this lava that pours on top, only has a baked zone on the bottom. There's no rocks up here. And so there's going to be a baked zone on the bottom. But if I go ahead now and if I add new geologic beds, in this example, the baked zone still only shows up on the bottom. Even though I added new beds, the lava wasn't hot when these new beds were added. So this baked zone only shows up on the bottom. But now let's imagine something else. Let's refresh, and I'm going to give you some new geologic beds. So here we've already got our layers of rock, and now let's add a new horizontal dike. That's called a sill, by the way, if we have a dike that pushes through rock and it's horizontal. So now with our sill, think about this. We already had country rocks on top and on bottom. So when this lava pushed through this dike, it baked the bottom and the top. And so in this example, our dike that pushes through horizontally, our sill, is going to have a baked zone on the bottom and the top. And so by looking at things like baked zones, we can, again, tell the relative order that things happened. So I'm hoping that this was helpful for helping you to determine the relative order in which different features appeared by analyzing a geological cross-section.